All right, just about 5 minutes, almost 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Nice looking Wednesday morning. Nice day to be out there. Nice day to be in here, too, actually.
Yes, it is.
I like air conditioning.
In and out.
Dr. David G. Harper is on the phone. He's a health educator, a cancer researcher, an associate professor of kinesiology?
Yes.
At the University of the Fraser Valley. He's an award-winning journalist and writer, and all of that is to lead me to tell you this. The book is called BioDiet. This is the part you want to know. The scientifically proven ketogenic way to lose weight and improve your health. I'm paying attention to this one, Robin.
Yes.
I got to lose weight. I'll put the cover of the book on the video streaming that we're doing in just a bit. First, let me say hello and good morning to Dr. David Harper. It's an honor to have you on our show, Doctor. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Larry, and good morning, Robin. It's great to be with you this morning.
And where are you? Where are you calling from?
I live in Vancouver, Canada, and I also work here at the British Columbia Cancer Research Center, and it's a beautiful day here today, too, but I want to say hi to all the folks in Florida. I spent about a year of my life in Florida, sort of 2 weeks at a time, and it's a state I have a lot of love for.
So I have a question that may be one of those weird and unrelated questions, but there was a story this morning about the kid or the young man from the Biggest Loser. I guess he lost a lot of weight or something, and he died. He died. He's only 30 years old, and he developed leukemia, and that's why he died. I think he developed it 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I apologize for not knowing his name, but I'm wondering if, since he obviously lost a lot of weight by going on a diet, is there a connection between what we eat and cancer? Is there a connection there?
Yeah, first of all, it's very sad when anybody dies of leukemia. I've had that in my family as well, so I feel for that family. Yes, I absolutely think there's a link between diet, not just cancer, but also other chronic disease like cardiovascular disease, in particular diabetes, obesity, which is now considered a disease in the United States, and even neurological disorders like epilepsy and Alzheimer's.
Okay, and so help us understand the word keto too, or the beginning of the word keto. What does that mean?
That's a great question. Keto comes from the ketones, which are small little molecules that are produced. They're kind of fat-like molecules that are produced when you switch from sugar burning to fat burning. So they call these diets ketogenic because they generate ketones when you burn fats, and those ketones, it turns out, are actually kind of a super fuel. They work not only as a preferred fuel for your brain and your heart and even your muscles, but they also have powerful hormone signaling effects that are very beneficial for us. Really?
So I'm guessing the labels that we have become familiar with don't list the number of ketones in a food, right? We have to learn that?
Yeah, we can get exogenous ketones in some products. It usually goes under the name BHB, which is short for beta-hydroxybutyrate, but that's kind of a long name. The only way you can kind of ingest ketones is through something called Mct Oil, which is derived from coconut oil, and Mct stands for medium-chain triglycerides. Now, those aren't ketones themselves, but when you ingest those, they're converted in your liver to ketones that then circulate through your body. But other than that, you produce your own ketones if you're adapted to a fat diet rather than a sugar diet.
Is the food pyramid, has that been detrimental to our health?
Yeah, I think it has. I think the last 40 years have been kind of a failed experiment to see what would happen if we put all of America on a high-carb, low-fat diet. And, the results are in. About 3/4 of American adults are now overweight or obese. And even in Florida, they estimate now that the rate of obesity alone, that doesn't include overweight, might be above 37%. So, yeah, I think that's failed us, and I think we have to do a big rethink. And I should say the ketogenic diets are not necessarily for everyone, but I think those people who are overweight or obese or have type 2 diabetes would really benefit from talking to their physician about adopting a ketogenic diet.
So what is not in the ketogenic diet? Is bread completely out of it? Or tell me what's not in the diet.
Well, in a word, carbs, but in particular sugar. So I really encourage people to get sugar out of their diet any way they can, and there's lots of hidden sugar in all kinds of I think something like 90+% of processed foods have sugar in them. but also starchy foods, bread, rice, potatoes, that sort of thing are pretty high. And those things just convert into sugar when you digest them and absorb them into your blood. So there's good carbs, which are the soluble and insoluble fiber, but you can get those without getting the sugar and the starch.
So can the family, can the mom or the dad cook meals and serve them and not really tell their kids that this is, the keto way?
Yes. That's a great question, Robin. Yes, you can. There's tons of great ketogenic food books out there, recipe books and so on, and you can do some amazing things. Now, will the kids notice the difference? Well, yeah, if they're used to eating toast, you can make kind of a keto toast, but it's a little bit of a challenge. But generally, you're substituting things for fat, and the great thing about fat is it's so satisfying. So you're getting fat from things like grass-fed butter and olive oil and other sources, and that really changes over time. It changes your palate, so you don't crave those high-sugar, high-starch foods anymore, and you start to become completely satisfied with a high-fat diet.
And how about fruits? I mean, we're told fruits have natural sugar in them. Are they taboo?
Not taboo. My wife and I have been on a ketogenic diet for about 7 years, and we eat berries most days, but just like a handful of berries. Most fruit, you have to understand, has been genetically modified to be really, really sweet, because that's what we crave. So, apples and so on, it is natural sugar because the apple's producing it, but there's no real difference once that sugar gets into your blood. It's still going to be the same sugar that has to be metabolized in the same way. So yeah, I don't, like, my wife and I will share an apple and it'll last us a week, and we kind of treat it sort of like candy. But generally, we eat lots of vegetables. It's not a bacon and eggs diet. We eat lots of vegetables, but mostly vegetables that grow above the ground that aren't beans or grains. And we do avoid most fruits except for berries.
So you're not vegetarian, or you are?
I am not vegetarian. No. I like meat and dairy, and I eat lots of eggs and cheese and all manner of fish, beef, chicken.
But you wouldn't have a hamburger because there's a bun there, right?
Well, you can get, I think they call them protein burgers. They wrap it in a piece of lettuce instead of a bun. So I would, the hamburger's fine. Just, don't eat the bun.
That's what I should do. Yeah, it's a hard one, though, because as I think about my diet, I mean, there's a lot of spaghetti, there's a lot of mac and cheese, there's a lot of bread. You go to Panera Bread, and it's all about bread.
Yeah.
It's pretty, Larry, it's pretty tough to go for a coffee and find something to eat that's ketogenic. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And it is a bit of an adjustment. I recommend people put aside about 12 weeks to make this adjustment. And I think by the end of it, one thing I can say, 100% of the people I've counseled, they just say they feel great at the end. They usually lose 15, 25 pounds, something like that, in 12 weeks, and they see these markers for chronic disease starting to reverse themselves, and that's really encouraging. So it helps them stick with it.
Maybe more important than the weight loss. The interview is rather short. I want to make sure we give the information out so listeners can get the book. It's called BioDiet. I found it on Amazon. You got 2 really good reviews, one from a doctor and one from a non-doctor who's very happy with the results. Apparently the non-doctor did some research on you and found other people saying nice things about you, so that's what convinced the coffee queen, is how this reviewer identifies herself. Are there any success stories that you can share with us of people who've used this as far as losing weight or reversing diabetes or anything like that?
Yeah, there's been some really good, robust research to show that for people with type 2 diabetes, if they adopt a well-formulated ketogenic diet, which is what the BioDiet is, there's about 94% of them will reduce their need for medication, and about 64% of them completely eliminate the need for medication, which means they've reversed their type 2 diabetes. And when you consider that, half of United States adults are either diabetic or pre-diabetic, that could have a huge impact. And think of the cost savings to the country in terms of medical care as well. So there are lots of broad studies, but also individual stories. I work with women with metastatic breast cancer. Our preliminary results are very, very promising in shrinking tumors.
Mm-hmm.
I should mention I'm not a physician, and these are preliminary results, and a ketogenic diet is not a substitute for the standard of care. You should follow your doctor's advice. There is good emerging evidence for ketogenic diets in cancer and even Alzheimer's as well. So,
Really? Wow.
Individual anecdotes they kind of take a long time to describe. But one thing I can say is people, they lose weight, they feel better, and for the most part, you'll see people reversing the markers for chronic disease.
And you came up with the number 12.
For 12 weeks?
Yes.
Yeah, that's just to give you enough time to adapt. It takes, in the BioDiet, by the way, if people want to preview the book, we have a website, biodiet.org.
That was my next question.
And BioDiet, all one word, .org. And they can actually go and read the first chapter and look at some of the resources in there and so on. So what I've done, there are lots of ketogenic diet books that tell you how to do it. This one also tells you why the science works in terms that are engaging and approachable. At least that's what the reviewers say, and I thank them for that. But we ease people into this transition to fat burning over a couple of weeks and then get them to very strongly reduce their carbohydrate intake. And then it takes 4 to 6 to 8 additional weeks to start developing those healthy habits for eating a ketogenic diet. That's what helps keep it sustainable, because one of the criticisms is that these diets aren't sustainable. They are. I've been on a ketogenic diet with my wife for 7 years, and our health is excellent. I take no medications, and I'm in my late 50s, and many other people have had similar experiences.
Wow.
Well, that's enough for me to know. Okay, I'm going to get it. BioDiet is the title of the book. Dr. David G. Harper, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today.
Oh, thanks very much, Larry and Robin. It was great being on your show, and I wish you health and happiness.
Thank you. We will be right back.
Hey folks, don't let the warm weather slow you down. The deals are better than ever at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens in Ocala. Come visit early in the day and enjoy this 5.5-acre garden of color where you'll find super deals like these. Your favorite citrus trees, a whole long list starting at just $59.99. Bob has a BOGO, buy one, get one on gardenias. Yes, you buy one, you get one free. And wow, those crepe myrtles, more than you can imagine, with prices starting as low as $9.99, and it's on BOGO too. Buy one, get one free, large ones and small ones. The bottle brush are blooming, and right now you can get those popular dwarf bottle brush for as little as $9.99.